Trump getting some more endorsements. Republican Vern Buchanan is now the 7th congressman from the Florida delegation to endorse the former president. Buchanan says if we want to get our economy back on track, Donald Trump is just the guy to get it done. Now he joins Reps Byron Donalds, Matt Gaetz, Corey Mills, Anna Paulina Luna, John Rutherford, and Greg Steube. Trump actually has a total of 43 other House GOP endorsements, and Buchanan's comes after just one day after Governor Ron DeSantis met with House Republicans in Washington, D.C. The governor did pick up an endorsement of Florida Congresswoman Laurel Lee. Congressman Thomas Massie of Kentucky and Chip Roy of Texas have also backed the Florida governor over Trump. And this, of course, comes before DeSantis has even officially announced his run. Let's talk about the Florida governor now with a Florida man, Dave Rubin, host of the Rubin Report. Dave, great to see you.
Good to be with you guys.
Now, I know you don't need the gas because you're a Tesla guy, but give us how's everything been going for you, Dave? You're a new Florida resident, and this was a once-in-a-thousand-year rainstorm. Did you make it through okay?
Yeah, I'm down here in Miami, in South Miami, where everything, we got a lot of rain and some roads were closed temporarily, and it was a little tricky trying to, follow Google Maps to get to dinner. But Fort Lauderdale obviously was hit harder, and they're still dealing with all of that. But I can tell you, in the year and a half that I've been here in Florida, especially if you just look at the cleanup that actually is still continuing in Southwest Florida after Hurricane Ian, the speed at which we built roads and bridges and houses are now going up, and they have to fix all kinds of infrastructure. It's happening as fast as possible. So there is obviously an issue related to this. But, this is also one of the things where, people think government can solve absolutely every problem at the drop of a hat, and sometimes things take a little bit of time. So I do acknowledge that there is this issue in Fort Lauderdale right now, and I think it'll probably be solved in the next day or two.
This is one of the things that both Donald Trump and Democrats have chosen to target Ron DeSantis on. They're hitting him for not going to Broward County. And then also you have all these Florida congressmen. They're not backing their governor. Why not?
Well, as far as I know, I think you just hinted at it, he hasn't announced yet. So I suppose it's possible that he isn't going to announce at all. But, look, everybody's going to make their calculation as to what they see is best for 2024. From where I sit, I sense that people really are over the endless show. They are over the endless fighting. There is an exhaustion with the name calling and the rest of it. I think people want three things. I've been saying this for a while. I think they want competency, clarity, and communication. I think Ron DeSantis is simply the best politician we have at that. And then if you take what he's done here in Florida and you blueprint it across the states, I actually think we have something that could make us the United States again, the United States again, keyword united, at least to some degree, which seems to be fraying very fast. But I supported Trump last time. It's very possible I'll support him again. I've been nudging him a little bit because I don't think the name calling is working this time. It simply isn't. And by the way, it's not working because 2 or 3 weeks ago when he was calling, DeSantis a rhino and a globalist and all of those names, he stopped doing it because he realized it wasn't working. Trump does not change tactics unless he knows something's not working.
Yeah, he's pulling on some different threads
Either
now.
way, they are going to be far better, whether it's Trump, DeSantis, Vivek, Nikki, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to be far better than Joe or any Democrat. And I think Robert F. Kennedy is about to find that out very quickly going against the Democrat machine.
Well, that's where I wanted to go next. RFK Jr., he's polling already at 14%. What do you think about this?
Well, it's interesting because, clearly the reason he is running is because of COVID, and he wrote a phenomenal book about it, and he's hit Trump hard, he's hit Fauci hard, he's hit the pharmaceutical industry hard and everything else. It's funny because I wonder, actually, and I hope to sit down with him for an interview, what makes him a Democrat at this point other than the name Kennedy? Obviously, that is deeply connected to the Democrat Party. But, John F. Kennedy, who was anti-war, who wanted to lower taxes, who said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. That sounds far more like a modern Republican or conservative than it does a Democrat. So what I sense is going to happen is RFK will get a little momentum, but the DNC and the Biden machine will absolutely crush the guy. And don't be surprised. I haven't heard anyone else say this. This is just a lark on my part. Don't be surprised if in a couple weeks he's like, you know, maybe I can get on that Republican debate stage because they'd put him there.
Well, Vivek, we just had Vivek
put him on any debate stage with Joe Biden. I promise you that.
We just had Vivek on, and he wants to debate RFK Jr., and I said I'd volunteer to moderate that debate. Let's also talk, too, about the Florida Department of Education yesterday. They expanded this parental rights law. That's what it's called. Some people, the media, call it the Don't Say Gay rule. But it bans these lessons on sexual orientation and gender identity all the way through 12th grade. Are you in favor of this as a Florida parent, Dave?
Well, as you can see in the quote that you just put up there, it doesn't include, you know, reproductive health and things of that nature. So, look, I don't know, generally speaking, why you would be talking about gender identity and sexuality in math class and in social studies and everything else. If there was a lesson on, say, hey, how gay marriage came to pass, the Supreme Court decision,
right,
and suddenly in Florida schools they weren't allowed to talk about that. That obviously would be an issue. As far as I can see, that is not what the issue is here. It's about specifically talking about these things outside the discipline in which they're supposed to be educated on. So I don't really have a problem with it. I think it's up to parents to decide how they want to talk about very personal things with their kids. And if, by the way, if you don't like what's going on in the schools, whether it's in Florida or
right,
California or somewhere in the middle, you have the right to homeschool. You can send them to a charter school, et cetera, et cetera.
I would just like to see one of these purple-haired teachers one time try to do the mental gymnastics of telling their class that it was Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh who actually put the vote over the line and gave the extension to transgender people and gay people in the workplace. So there's that. Also, tomorrow, the vice president is coming down to your neck of the woods in Miami. I don't know if you're going to stop by to see her, but it sounds like she was practicing her speech last week at Al Sharpton's National Action Network. Here it is.
Extremists across our country attack the freedom to vote. They ban books to attempt to erase America's full history. And just yesterday in Florida, extremists there signed a 6-week ban before most women even know they're pregnant.
She's so mad, Dave. And we're going to have a new segment we're going to do on the show where we eat soup and we just play Kamala Harris's sound bites. It's called Soup and Salad.
She is the queen of word salad. Look, real quick, let's do each one. In terms of voting, Florida has the tightest elections in the country, which is why, although DeSantis won by a record-breaking landslide, we knew the results basically at 7:30 p.m. It was an absolute joy as a Floridian to vote, to show your ID, to see the paper trail, have competent people there, as opposed to California, where I voted for the last couple of years, where I didn't have to show an ID, and I could have literally been anybody and voted multiple times. That's the first one. The second one on the books, you know, the book bannings, there are no books banned in Florida other than the book that had, I can't even say, I'm not even sure if I can say it.
This is a family show.
It's not even worth saying what they were showing images of. And actually, when Ron DeSantis was giving a press conference about that book, the local news had to cut away because they're not allowed to show those images. But for some reason, Kamala Harris wants third graders to learn about that. And as for the 6-week abortion thing, you know, I'm actually not for that. I was actually a 100% fine with the 15-week ban, and I think I probably have a different opinion on that than most Newsmax viewers and most of my own viewers. However, he is the governor. He has a supermajority. He made a decision. So for her to call it extremist, the whole point of federalism is for states to make choices for themselves, and then you can decide where you want to live. The laboratory of democracy exists. It's a beautiful thing that France does not have, and Canada does not have, and most Western democracies do not have. So if you really, really want 8.5-month abortions, there's a state on the West Coast, it's pretty big, and you can go there and have your 8.5-month abortion.
That's right.
So although I personally disagree with 6 weeks, I think 15 was fine. I didn't hear anybody complaining about it in Florida. If it's the law of the land, then so be it.
There are sanctuary states. California is one of them for these things. And always great to see you. Dave Rubin, take care.
Good to see you, John.